So at this point, you're probably all familiar with Dehancer. It's used all over the place. Dehancer Pro, it's a film emulation, but this next one, this Video Village FilmBox, is not really used so much out there in YouTube land, but more for high-end productions. They use a different approach to use their spiel. They say it's a holistic reproduction of photochemical motion picture imaging based on empirical data and refined for creative utility, and is built for high-end productions. Now, my takeaway from what that means is that, in my experience, you get a bit more genuine film reproduction using FilmBox, and the reason why is because they don't try to slap an emulation on top of your footage. Rather, they try to duplicate the processes that happen to the image, and then the end result is it just looks like film. I really have come to like FilmBox because I sometimes feel that when I'm using Dehancer or products like that I'm dialing back what it's doing, because it comes out looking a bit fake, a bit plastic to my eyes, a bit overdone. Whereas this just is adding the elements that real film would naturally have and apply to your image. So, any of you wondering what camera I shot this on? It's actually the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And to my eyes, if you shoot it with manual settings, in the D-Log and profile, and then you grade it in post, it can look really quite organic, really quite filmic. Granted, there are limitations because you are dealing with a very wide lens, and if you want something that looks cinematic, generally a very wide lens is not the best choice. I think maybe like anywhere from a 35 to about a 50mm is a really good choice for general purpose, and if you want to get those close-ups, maybe a 85mm is going to be a sweet spot. But I really do think that the image coming out of the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, given that it's so small, given it's so convenient, given it has built-in audio, built-in timecode, I just feel it's a really amazing offering. Now, what I'm really excited to see, what I would love to see, is a pro version of this camera, perhaps in the Super 35 format. And the reason why I say that is because if you notice the DJI Ronin 4D, that has the full-size sensor, but that gimbal head starts to get really quite large. So if we could shrink all of that down to an S35 size, then I think we really start to get something very powerful in a very small package, something the world has, I think, never seen before. Now, there are some caveats, some things that in 2024 I feel are must-haves. So first thing, on that kind of camera, you would need a variable aperture. I don't see any way that anything considered pro is going to have a fixed aperture. The other thing you're going to need is you're going to need, in my mind, either multiple sensors, which starts to get crazy, or you're going to need a fast zoom lens, which I think is probably the ideal way to go. So you're looking at something that goes maybe as wide as 20 and maybe as tight as 50mm. And it's going to have to be, I would say, with a Super 35 sensor, I would want something at least f2.8, but ideally, if you could get it down to f2 or lower, that would be absolutely great. So I'm very excited for where this technology is going. Now, there are some shortcomings on the current one. The Osmo Pocket 3, it doesn't have the most dynamic range. It's pretty good, but honestly, I would love to see this closer to 13, maybe even 14. You know, the more the merrier, but 13 really would be ideal, I think, for such a small camera. If you could get that much dynamic range, it would be perfect. Of course, that won't be available until probably the next iteration, but I'm hoping for the Pro version that we're looking at 15 to 14 stops dynamic range usable. And if we can do that, and if it has, say, built-in NDs, guess what? That's going to check the box for virtually everyone apart from major productions. I think they'll steal the market, the entire video market, apart from those niche people that have multi-million-dollar budgets. I think they're just going to capture the entire independent filmmaking market, the entire enthusiast market, the entire You know, anything less than major productions, I think they're going to have a huge inroad into. And if they could do a few other small things, which aren't really small, but I know they can, such as make it weather resistant, at least to the point where it could survive a light downpour without being destroyed. That would be great. And I'm not sure that the current one can or can't. There is one other thing I have to mention. Over the holidays, I popped over to DC area and I checked out the Cybertruck, the Tesla Cybertruck. This thing is, you have to see it in person. That's all I can say. It's the presence of it, it looks like it came straight off the set of a Hollywood movie. I didn't get to drive it. I didn't even get to touch it. I mean, it's all roped off and they have lights flashing. I think they should kill the lights. These flashing lights are more of an annoyance, but I think that it looks really amazing. They say it doesn't look the same in person, and I'll say that, I mean, to my eyes, it does, but it doesn't. So there's a whole other dimension of the geometry here going on that really the camera doesn't do justice to. Another thing I had the opportunity to do was capture a small amount of low-light footage using the DJI Pocket 3. And let me just say this, you're not supposed to go beyond base ISO if you want it to look cinematic, so that's what these shots are. With that, I bid you adieu. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.